For more insight on the Ethiopia-Tigray conflict, I'm joined live via Skype from Oxford University by Jason Mosley, a research associate at the African Studies Center. Jason, welcome to Africa 54.
Thanks very much.
Jason, this has gone on for quite some time, since 2020, and it continues. Is the international community getting involved enough to stop the Ethiopian conflict?
So the short answer is no, they are not. The international community is engaged, but they face a real challenge in that the stakeholders in the conflict are not particularly tractable to external influence. The Ethiopian government, the Tigrayan leadership, and the Eritrean government have all proved over the years quite resistant to external influence. So with all of the main components of the conflict seemingly committed to a battlefield victory rather than a negotiated outcome, it's very difficult to see how the international community can engage with that and produce a productive outcome. But certainly more attention should be paid.
Jason, even as the peace talks draw close, we are still seeing Ethiopian government troops capturing key cities in the northern part of Tigray, and airstrikes as well that are killing even civilians. What do you make of that?
Yeah, so this just goes to this point that the last several weeks have seen a resumption of fighting after somewhat of a lull over the last few months, in an intense conflict that's affecting millions of people in Tigray and hundreds of thousands or potentially millions around the edges of the Tigray region in Ethiopia. And over the last several months, there have been stop-start progress towards some kind of engagement. The United States has tried to get a series of talks going. The African Union has had a platform that has seemed to go back and forth between starting and stopping some kind of process without any tangible outputs. And the key thing here is that there's very little in the way of pressure that the international community can bring to bear that would have a tangible impact on the parties. Most of the leverage that external actors can bring to bear is quite blunt instruments like sanctions or arms embargoes, which are quite serious and forceful measures, but not particularly well targeted to deliver results. And in the last several decades, we've seen that Ethiopia and particularly Eritrea, the governments are quite resilient to external pressure in this way. Eritrea was under international sanctions for about 10 years with no change in the position that it took on the key issues there. So that doesn't seem to bear much hope. I'm hoping that rather, if the external community could be bringing its pressure to bear on domestic processes, particularly within the Ethiopian context, that could try to speak to the political pressures within the Ethiopian transition, that might produce some results. But it's very difficult to see how external actors on their own are going to be able to bring much change.